of Keepers First Aid Community Bank, just to name a few. Tony was named number 22 of the top 100 leaders and business experts to follow on Twitter, and one of the top 100 leadership consultants, speakers, and thinkers by Inc. magazine. If you would please welcome Tony Richards.
It's exhausting just listening to that. So, thank you for inviting me. I'm not used to speaking for 20 minutes. So, I'm used to speaking for like 3 hours, half days, days, 3 days, things like that. So, I probably brought too much stuff to go through. I'll go through some of it, but what I would like to do is ask you right now, will anybody have questions or want to interact or talk? Okay. All right. So what I've done is I've set my timer so it'll go off, and when it goes off, wherever I am, I'll just quit and I'll ask you, what you want to interact with or talk about. So they had asked me to talk about what small business needs. And so I got out my journal, as I usually do, and get out my pen, and I start listing off some things, and I'm like, yeah, small business needs everything we got. So I'll just talk about some stuff that we do. These are my kids. Speakers typically show pictures of their family, so I don't have a picture of Anne Marie, but I do have a picture of our children. So that's Oreo on the right and Baby on the left, and they're blue heelers. I grew up in Kentucky on a horse farm. And my dad was a semi-famous quarter horse cutting horse trainer. And so he used to train cutting horses to herd cattle. And so the other side of the herd of cattle would be taken care of by a blue heeler. So he'd take one side of the herd with a horse, and the other side of the dog would take, and they'd move these big bunches of cows across the field and turn around and move them back across the field and turn around and move them back across the field. So growing up with those dogs, I've had one ever since I was a little boy. And so 2 or 3 years ago, the last one in that bloodline died. And so Anne Marie came up with this bright idea of rescuing dogs. So Oreo and Davy are both rescue dogs. Oreo came from Clinton, Missouri, and Davy came from Columbia in Boone County. So they're very active and lively. They're really smart, which is what I really like about them. They're really athletic, but they're like two blenders without a top. They go all the time. So basically, there's 4 decisions. I'm part of a group of coaches and business consultants called Gazelles International. We help businesses all across the world. And I'm going to be there in October. We have a big conference in Dallas. I just got back from our conference in Atlanta where I spoke to entrepreneurs all over the world. And there's basically 4 decisions that every business owner has to make in the lifetime of that business. People, which is one of the more difficult decisions, is how to handle people, how to work with people, how to manage people, how to select the right people. As one guy famously said, this would be a great business if it weren't for the people. Right? So, people decision can be very difficult. Strategy. A lot of businesses get started with no strategy, without a plan. So strategy is really, really important. Not only having a strategy, but being able to execute that strategy. A lot of us are really good at putting our grocery list together, but a lot of us can't leave the grocery store with everything on the list. Right? So executing the strategy flawlessly and without drama, that's a little bit of a task. And then cash. I notice we have some bankers here. I see them at different things we go to. And so we need, lines of credit and cash and money, because if you're going to grow your business, how many people here are going to scale your business, going to grow your business? Okay, so you're going to need cash. Because growth sucks cash, right? So if you want to grow and scale at all, you're going to need some money, right? So it's really good to have those relationships and those lending partners that can help you and guide you and work with you on how to put those things into place. Because I promise you, if you're going to grow your business, Anne Marie and I started 11 years ago, just the 2 of us, and now we have like 8 people. And we're doing business all across the United States. And I can tell you that over that course of that time, growth sucks cash. So you need money to scale. There are 3 things besides leadership. Leadership kind of goes in the middle here. It goes without saying. But there are 3 things that small business really need to consider. The first one is, that I already talked about, is strategy. You really need to know what you're going for, what kind of business you have, where it fits in the marketplace, how you're going to differentiate it, how you're going to win. In other words, business is just a game, right? There's only so much market share in every market, and everybody is after it. So it's a game. A game of business is played through strategy, and so having a strong plan for your business is extremely important. The second thing is you as the leader are responsible for the culture. So you're the ones that are deciding what our business is going to be like from a relationship standpoint with both our vendors, our customers, and our employees. You're the one that's going to be setting the tone for the environment, or as I like to say, the atmosphere of your business is going to be determined by you, the leader. And so what happens a lot of times is leaders are trying to push culture, they're trying to promote culture, and what's actually going on in the business is what we call the climate. And so what you want to do is you want to try to get the climate as close to the culture as possible. And the difference between the climate and the culture are gaps that you're constantly trying to fill in, because the culture you want to promote is utopia, right? Everything is just perfect in utopia land, and everybody likes working here, and we all treat each other with respect, and we all like working with each other, and it's just a good day every day, right? But we also know that the climate doesn't always work out that way, because people have bad days. Things go wrong, things blow up, clients cancel, all sorts of things happen, and how you handle those things, and how you make those decisions, and how you proactively run the business really determines the culture. And finally, you need to give some consideration to the brand. And I will tell you that nothing really influences the brand. So what is a brand? A brand is an evidence of distinction. Okay? A brand is an evidence of distinction. It's not a logo, it's not a name, it's not pretty colors. It's an evidence of distinction. What makes you distinct among the people in the marketplace? What makes you stand out? And I can tell you that in the customer's mind, what usually determines that is what they come in contact with when they work with you. That's why culture is directly linked to the brand, because people's impressions of that brand usually come from the people contact they have with the people who become. Okay? So strategy is linked to culture, culture is linked to brand, and around we go. And hopefully, we get those pieces right so we can make a very strong impression in the marketplace. This is just a little tool I thought I'd show you. This is how we measure those things. So we do a gap analysis. When we're working with a company, we ask them about 8 key areas of that company. We ask the employees how they're feeling about things. And then we'd also ask them how they like things to be. And then we look at the gaps between those two things. This particular company had a little bit of an issue with, it's the third one down, organizational clarity. So not everybody in the company knew what the company was doing, where the direction the company was headed, and what the future looked like. In other words, in a lot of companies we go into, people just automatically assume that the owner or the lead manager or whatever has the secret plan locked away in the safe somewhere, and nobody can know that but them. And that's usually not the case. But what happens is we uncover that, and then we help them get that communication going so that everybody's on the same page. When we start working with companies, we also start asking a series of questions of the leaders. One of the most important questions that I usually ask somebody when we first start working with them is that very first one underneath you is, why do you get out of bed every day? And so I was in St. Louis about a year and a half ago, and I just did a whole session just on these questions. So I'm just doing some back and forth in this seminar with these people, and I'm asking them, I asked them, why do you get out of bed every day? And this one guy goes, to get my paycheck. And I thought, what a miserable existence. If they weren't paying you, you wouldn't be doing it, you wouldn't be going, and every day it's just a low-level transaction between you and the firm. You promise to show up and give your 3 out of 10 performance if they will make sure the check clears. That's why you get out of bed every day. That's not a very fulfilling experience, is it? So I think if you're really honest with yourself as a leader, you start to ask yourself the question, what am I trying to achieve? Why do I get out of bed every day? Why am I going to this business? Because what happens a lot of times is business owners get into this thing I call the Frankenstein syndrome. They created this thing, but they no longer control it. It controls them. I don't have a business anymore. What I have is something that I have to always feed and nurture and take care of and do all these things. It's not taking care of me. I'm taking care of it. And so sometimes we have to work to turn that around. It usually starts with the leader or the owner going, why am I doing this? Like, what's the deeper meaning? You also, if you're a manager, you're coaching people in a larger organization. Maslow, the psychologist, had this hierarchy of needs. If they're just on the safety and security level, and they're just coming to work every day just to get paid, and it's just a job, then you're not going to take that company to where it deserves to go. You have to get people into actualization and higher levels of existence where they want to be part of something that's bigger than they are. They want to contribute. Does that make sense? So some people probably have been around long enough to remember that Michael Jordan decided he was going to be a baseball player. Now, there's a big difference between Michael Jordan playing basketball and Michael Jordan playing baseball. I mean, he's still Michael Jordan. So there is a certain thing that can happen where you can have a very talented person doing the wrong stuff. And we find that in companies quite a bit, actually. When we work with companies, we find people who are extremely talented, who are really good, they're just in the wrong spot, doing the wrong stuff. And when you do that, you know, that one headline for Sports, on Sports Illustrated cover on both of these instances, but one of them's like, bag it, Michael, give it up. You're not gonna make a career out of baseball, right? Because what happens sometimes is the first thing that we learn is we learn how to lead ourselves and get a result. So when you're growing up, hopefully, you learn that if you don't go to school, you're going to get flunked, right? You're going to get absent on your report card, and your report card's going to come back with incompletes and Fs. And you learn, gee, I guess I got to go to class and go to school if I'm going to pass. So you start developing this level of responsibility. You learn if I'm going to graduate from college, I got to go pay attention and take notes and hopefully pass the test. Same thing happens in companies, okay? Is that when you go into a company, usually the first job you get or whatever is just you have to generate a result. Then, typically, if you're pretty good and you stay there for a while, somebody comes along and promotes you, and now you're not responsible for getting a result yourself, you're responsible for getting a result through someone else. That's hard. That's more difficult. It was easier when I just got the result. Now I got to get the result for someone else, and what makes it even more difficult, I might have 4 people I got to get a result for. Then maybe I get promoted. Now I'm getting a result through someone who's getting a result through people. Break time is one of our clients. And I was doing this little riff with them one day, and see, it's already going on. See how time went? And I was doing this little riff with them about the 6 levels that you graduate through in leadership. And so I got to level 3, where you're getting a result through someone who's getting a result through someone. And the area supervisor goes, yeah, the farther I get away from the cash register in a break time store, the harder it is. I'm like, yes. Imagine what it's like to get to the CEO side. How difficult that is. Because every time you go through a person, you multiply the complexity by like 25. So if you have 450 employees, you multiply that by 25, that's the degree of difficulty that comes with that particular job. So what we've identified skill sets that this is sort of modeled after Jim Collins, would be great, because his 3 main components were discipline thought, discipline people, discipline action. And so we've identified 6 skills it takes to lead yourself, 7 skills it takes to lead your thinking, and 8 as a copywriter. If you're going to copy it right. There's 12 skills in leading other people. So my point is that it's a different skill set. It's a different skill set to lead yourself than leading others. And so you learn the 6 skills of leading yourself. Now all of a sudden you got 6 skills to lead yourself. You got 7 skills to lead how you think, where everything starts. And you got 12 skills to learn in order to lead other people. So I've never seen anybody good at all 25 skills. It just doesn't happen, right? But there are people who are pretty good at 18 or 19 or 20, and that we classify as a high potential. So just real quick, I'll show you, this is our talent algorithm that we use. This measures perception and acumen. So I'm not too concerned with how the energy comes out of a person. Some people have probably done Myers-Briggs, you've done DISC, you've done StrengthsFinder. Those things all measure how energy comes out of you, how you behave, how you take action. And that's all great, except that's the last thing that happens. The first thing that happens is how you perceive the world and how you integrate yourself into it. That's what I'm interested in. I want to know how a person perceives and understands other people, how they perceive and understand tasks they're given, how they understand the big picture and the system that those tasks have to fit into. I want to understand what kind of self-esteem that person has, whether they think highly of themselves, whether they think lowly of themselves, what their future direction is, and finally, how clearly they understand their role. I get those 6 things right, I've got an A-player superstar. So I've covered a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if you think any of it's interesting, but my alarm's going off, which means I probably should talk with you and answer some of your questions. Question? Yep, it's not a test, because you don't give people tests because they can't fail. Right? Tests you can fail or pass. Assessments you can't. It just gives you an assessment of the person. Right? So you get the pass-fail thing kind of out of your head, because we're just looking for an evaluation of the person. And we do that probably 20, 25 times a week. We tell them, hey, this. And a lot of times what we're doing is we're comparing. You send me 3 people, I'll rank them for 1, 2, 3. This is the best person, the second best person, the third best person. And it's not biased, it's data. Other questions?
And then you put that with like the current team to see how they relate.
We usually do that with a DISC or a motivator, driving forces. You know, I want to know what gets that person going. I want to know what the key is that starts their engine. And then I want to understand how energy comes out of them, which is what DISC does, behavior. And then I want to look at everybody else's behavior, and I want to see what the roles of the team are and how they fit together.
What is the most difficult type of personality that you have?
Man, if they're living and breathing, they're difficult. And they're complicated. People are the most complicated thing on the planet. I don't care how they behave. They are complicated. So, you got one type of person that never has enough information, right? Always needs more information, makes a living out of studying, reading, what you're just like, just do it, right? You have another person that's totally like rhythmic and system oriented, and man, if there's a little bit of glitch in the system, they just go haywire. You got other people who are so extroverted and human contact and codependent with other people that if they're locked away without human contact for 5 minutes, you know, they just like go nuts. And then you have other people that just run over folks and they just are bullying and trying. So you pick. What do you think? So that's just a small 4 little example microcosm of dealing with 4 different kinds of people. I could do 50. Okay, so it's a matter of understanding, right? Seek first to understand, then be understood. So it's a matter of taking tools like this and data to really understand people, which really has nothing to do with the business side. That's a whole other analytical data set of what stage is that business in. Do they have 5 employees? Do they have 15? What we've learned is that every time you increase your employees by like 10, you're going to have a whole new set of problems. So if you have 1 to 10 employees, you're going to have, could you put that up there real quick? my framework for that? Take this one down and put that other framework up. So we developed a framework that explains this all the way up to 500 people. So, but when you get to 10 people, once you hire that 11th person, you got a whole new set of problems. When you get to 20, you got another set of problems. When you get to 35, you got another set of problems. When you get to 50, you got a whole other set of problems. And so what we've done is we've developed this predictive model that sort of we know what the problem's going to be, so let's fix it before we get there. We also know that some companies have progressed and they should have fixed some stuff back when they were at 10 and now they're at 50, and we got to go back and fix that, and then go fix the things they're going to. Right? So the people part of it, that's a piece of it. Then there's also the business part, because businesses are like people. They start out as little babies, and they're really easy to handle, and they're fun to play with, and then they grow up a little bit and go through the terrible twos, and then they get into adolescent stage. You don't know what they're going to wake up like the next morning, right? And they get to maturity, and so it's difficult to handle them at every step. Other questions? Put that up. Other questions? We could do 7 minutes, that's fine. What other questions do you have? What are your plans for your business?
I have a question. In regards to business profiles,
There it is.
as someone that's maybe a business owner, or a startup, you find what the process that you suggest to know what you have, and then know what kind of personality you want to build into that? Are there certain personalities that you suggest to stay away from as startups or businesses?
Yeah, I just never use that word. I never use the word personality because it's not measurable and it's so complicated. We have a model for that, of course, but we don't have time to go through that. But it just, I'll show you. So on our model for the business growth, we know that the first thing that has to be the focus in that business is profit. Profit, people, and process is the order that it goes in. So you don't need a process for everything when you're startup mode, but you do have to have people, and you absolutely have to make a profit. If you don't make a profit, even nonprofits have to make a profit. Okay, that's just an IRS designation. That's not the real world, right? They have to make a profit. And so the CEO or the leader of that startup is usually very dominant. They have a very dominant demeanor. They have a very dominant behavior pattern. And then they have supported and facilitated. But dominant goes up to 20 employees. Because for those of you who have had startups, if you have a startup, you know there's rough times. There's times where you're just like, holy cow, payroll's going to hit Friday, and it's Tuesday, and you don't have the money, and you just have to hang on. And that usually goes up through 20 employees. You have to have that, everybody follow me, I'll kick the door down type behavior. Whereas, as the business grows, you have to become more facilitated. Then when you get up to 95 to 500 people, you still got to go back to the dominant again. Because it's just so large and so huge. You cannot be the behavior where everything's going to upset you, or little things are going to bother you or throw you off your game, because there's going to be 1,000 little things hitting you on a daily basis. 4 weeks ago, I was in Kansas City with Coach Pete, speaking at an event, and Coach got up, and his first thing was, do not become a head coach if you don't like fixing problems. He goes, because every day you get up, you're going to have problems. There are going to be some problems. And if you don't like solving problems, and you don't like fixing stuff, and you want everything to go nice and smooth and easy every single day, don't do this job. And that's kind of what you get into when you have 1 to 15 employees, and then when you have 90 to 500. That's kind of the day-to-day thing. Is people are going to be hitting you with stuff all day, every day. I hope that answers the question.
We're a very small company with about 35 full-time people, and we try to be very transparent and open in, meetings, and you have any sort of brief stage wisdom on people accepting change? You know, like change, people are always afraid of change, and you have to kill people who are afraid of change. You know, we try to, prep people in advance, like there's testing, there's social testing, here's the NDA for what we're doing, but then there's always that pushback of like, well, how does this person affect me in my position, in my
Right.
department, and then therefore I don't really want to buy into the situation.
Yeah. What's the alternative though?
Right.
So is that really been explained?
I mean, to us, we're always trying to explain, I guess, you know, how this is going to make your job easier, more effective, more efficient, and then at the end of the time, a lot of it is people are just like, well, I don't like this.
No,
And so it's like, how to voice through that struggle of,
Sure, but
you
I
can't
mean.
force people to accept that kind of stuff.
No, and you cannot force them, but what you have to do is you have to remain diligent in your vision, and you also have to explain to them how change works. So change, there is a process to change, and there is a way that change comes about, and a way you facilitate change, and a way that change gets executed. And as long as everyone knows that, they either get on the training or they get off the training, one or the other. You either coach them up or you coach them out. Worst thing you can do is leave them alone and just let them do their own thing, right? But you have to explain to them, this is the way every change works since the beginning of mankind. We're going to install it. It's going to be screwed up. Nobody's going to know how to do it. We're all going to be nuts and crazy in the chaotic period. Then we're going to finally find a way to make it work. Things are going to go to a new normal. We're going to get away with the old normal, and we're going to think nothing will ever change again. Golly, we figured it out. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Not thinking that 2 years from now, we're going to change it all again. Right? So you have to keep preaching to them that, guys, this ain't it. This is not the end. If we're going to change some more stuff, as a matter of fact, the best way is to keep them in a constant perpetual state of change.
We got it there.
Yeah, you should. Because then they can get used to, you know, people convert to whatever environment there is, right? So if you keep a steady environment. So what a lot of people do is they tell them point A and point B, but they don't tell them this ambiguous part in between, and that's what scares the heck out of them. So you have to explain A, B, C, D phases along the way, and hey, remember we told you guys this was coming, we're going to this next stage, and it's going to be chaotic, and then we're going to figure it out, and then we're all going to be happy, and then it's going to become a change, right? But like when we took the training wheels off your bike, you didn't ride straight. Like you wobbled around and we followed behind you, you wouldn't fight the fall. That's the way all change works. Then all of a sudden you're like, look, no hands. And you're like, I got this figured out. And then somebody goes, hey, you want to ride a motorcycle? And you're like, oh. Then you got on in. You're like, oh. That's the way life works, constantly. And you have to explain it to them that this is not an anomaly. This is just the way life works. So, that's time. Time flies. When you're having fun. Yes, ma'am.
You suggest, because recently we do a hourly staffing underneath, but we feel like we're covering the same integrity, the same problems keep coming up and we're struggling with that. Do you suggest smaller meetings throughout the week, not having maybe?
We rotate the
once?
leadership. Once a quarter. Have someone different charge it, have someone different lead it, have someone different come up with the agenda. Make sure you cover what needs to be covered, but just by having somebody different lead it, you'll give it a different tone and a different feeling, and also share responsibility. Everybody becomes equal in the meeting that way, because you have a different person who's kind of becomes a leader just for that meeting. Yeah, I probably got 50 suggestions, but that's one, to just change the flavor of it by changing who leads it. Like when I go into a company, usually it's like the same person leading it, the same person sits out the notes, the same person, and it's just like, let's change it up and have somebody different lead it every time, that they're responsible for that meeting. And then the leader has to go, oh my God, that's going to be a disaster. Well, let it be a disaster. They'll learn. How do we learn? By mistakes, right? We coach them on it. We say, hey, that meeting wasn't exactly what we had envisioned. Why don't you try X, Y, and Z next time it's your turn to lead meeting? That gives you coaching on it. Okay, so,
You're developing their leadership skills that way.
yes, ma'am. Anything else? Yeah, this is fun. Stay here another 2 hours. We don't know, but let's do it. Thank you all very much. I will. You're welcome.
So we'd like to thank our sponsors again. We've got our gold sponsor, again, is County Plus. Our location sponsor is First Baptist Church, and our door prizes are Kate Essentials. We have KMOS TV, Missouri PBS, and Columbia Area Career Center. And just a reminder that we've got Small Business Week coming up in May, 4th through 8th next year. It's going to be here before we know it. There's flyers, right?
Small Business Expo.
Oh,
Yep.
I read it. Oh, okay. Okay. Small Business Expo. That'll be next month. That's much sooner.
October 26th, and we'll be at the Parquet Plaza, and there are still spaces available. If your business or your small business wants to be a part of that, ask us and we can get that information to you. But if you would also take a flyer to hang in your business so we can tell people, you do not have to be a chamber member to come to that Small Business Expo. It's for anybody, but to have a booth space, you have to be a small business, so 25 employees or less.
And I've got an application.
And we have applications here as well, yes. And the training was fun. And there is training with this expo. So if you are scared to run a booth or you don't know exactly how to talk to people who are going through booths, Kara is going to host a kind of a seminar just to tell you how to do that, and it will be really beneficial to have that. So. And anything else? And then there is a link that will be on the website to watch again to make sure that if a chamber member could not have come today, just have to go, that they can watch Tony. And then we have a gift for Tony to say thank you for coming today, because we really enjoy your time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I did.
Give everybody a face card, and if you sign it, fill it out, we'll start sending you a Monday morning coaching memo. So if you haven't, I've got extra.
Just to plug coaching, man, Kurt and I started with coaching from the minute we started our business, and I just cannot say enough about coach. If you don't have a coach in your small business, if you get one, you're not being held accountable. You think you can hold yourself accountable, which is one of his things. But a coach can be there to call every week or call every other week and say, hey, what's going on? And I remember a problem, I'm just going to give a quick testimonial that we were having in our small business. We actually had an employee stealing from us, and that was our focus for like 2 to 3 months. We kept saying, well, it was her fault, and finally the coach said, enough. This is enough. Stop focusing on that. We blamed her for that, and now we're moving on. Just to get your mind right, because you're just stuck back in that past where you can, then they can say, that's not the focus. Focus on something else. And so,
How long are you going to let that control you?
right, how long are you going to let that control you? Exactly. And that's kind of what he put in our face, and it was like, yeah, we have other dreams. We have other visions that Tony was talking about, and I don't want that to control it. So, I highly believe in coaches, and not only do we have a business coach, I have a life coach, I've got a personal trainer at the gym. I don't just go and work out. I got to have someone there who's telling me what I'm doing. So I have a coach in every aspect of my life because I believe in them so much. So if you don't have a coach and you're a small business, Tony is one of those that can really get you plugged into that. So
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yes.